Hello everyone and welcome back to Potterbase. Today I'm doing something a little different. I'm going to be talking about 5 things I would add to the Harry Potter books. The entries on this list aren't meant to be seen as criticisms of the series really, it's more just about having fun and thinking about what could be added to make the books even better. As always, I'd love to know your thoughts, so tell me what you think in the comments. Okay, so at number 5 I have a prologue in the Order of the Phoenix. Now, by prologue, what I mean is a chapter before we get to Harry. The reason I say this is because every book after book 3 has a chapter, or 2 in the case of the Half-Blood Prince, at the start of the story that doesn't involve Harry. The Order of the Phoenix is the exception to this rule, which I always found a little strange. Of course, the question arises, what should the prologue entail? Well, I thought it would be interesting to have a greater insight into Cornelius Fudge's vendetta against Harry and Dumbledore, and have a prologue which showed him plotting to discredit them, specifically by working with those who run the Daily Prophet. The idea isn't purely my own invention either, because soon after Harry arrives at Grimmauld Place, Hermione says she bets Fudge is the one influencing the Daily Prophet's remarks about Harry. And further on in the book, Rita Skeeter says Fudge is leaning on the Prophet. So a chapter showing the origin of this would be pretty interesting, I think. Plus it would make a cool contrast to the opening chapter of the Half-Blood Prince, the Other Minister, in which Fudge is rather downtrodden due to the fact he's just lost his position as minister when the public find out the truth. In at number 4, an explanation about the Archway. Sticking with the Order of the Phoenix, I've always found the Archway in the Department of Mysteries rather strange. And in all honesty, I think it would have been better if Sirius had just died normally rather than falling through the veil. But anyway, what's frustrating about it is that we don't get any explanation at all. I'm not saying I want an exact discussion about what it is and how it works, but even on the wizardingworld.com there's basically no information given about this mysterious structure. It's not a huge issue of course, it's just odd that there's never any explanation of any kind. Number 3. The Hufflepuff Common Room. The Gryffindor Common Room is featured all the time in the Harry Potter books simply because the main 3 characters are all in Gryffindor. The Slytherin Common Room makes an appearance in the Chamber of Secrets when Harry and Ron disguise themselves as Crabbe and Goyle and interrogate Malfoy about the heir of Slytherin. And the Ravenclaw Common Room turns up at the very end of the Deathly Hallows when Harry goes to find out information about Ravenclaw's diadem. But the Hufflepuff Common Room, we just never see it. It's mentioned at one point that it's near the kitchen, so not too far away from the Great Hall, but that's it, no more details. It just feels incomplete to see all the other common rooms apart from this one. I'm not sure how it would crop up naturally in the story, but I'm sure J.K. Rowling could have come up with something. And number 2, a chapter between the Flaw in the Plan and 19 years later. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, the Flaw in the Plan is the chapter where Voldemort is finally defeated, and 19 years later is the epilogue of the series, where Harry, Ron and Hermione wave goodbye to their children as they go to Hogwarts. As much as I like the end of the Deathly Hallows, and I really do, my appreciation of it has increased over the last few years, I would like a bit more of a wind down. Voldemort dies, there's celebrations obviously, but after a couple of pages that's it, we're straight at the epilogue. I would have loved another chapter before the epilogue that showed the Wizarding World getting back to normal whilst dealing with the tragic losses that occurred during the battle. Maybe a scene where Harry, Ron and Hermione discuss what they're going to do next as well. While some people may like the fact that Deathly Hallows rounds up very efficiently, it always feels a little too abrupt for me. Which leaves number 1, Neville's story during the Deathly Hallows. I've talked about this idea before and argued that some chapters following Neville Longbottom during his final year at Hogwarts would have been cool. We would get to see his arc and more of Hogwarts during the Deathly Hallows. But then it occurred to me that this would actually work as an entire book, starting with Neville at platform 9 3/4 and ending when he goes through the passage between the Room of Requirement and the Hog's Head and meets Harry, Ron and Hermione. In essence, the book would focus on the student resistance against the Carrows and Neville's role in the rebellion. We'd get to see what the castle looked like during this dark time and how the students reacted to it. I'm not sure how long the book would be, obviously not as long as the Deathly Hallows, but maybe 300 pages, 400 pages, something like that. I just think this would have been a better addition to the series than The Cursed Child or the Fantastic Beasts movies. So those are 5 things I would add to the Harry Potter series. Obviously that last one's a little bit different because it's like an entire book. but I hope you don't mind that. Let me know if you enjoyed the video in the comments, and please tell me what you would add to the Harry Potter series as well to make the books even better. Other than that, it's goodbye from me until next time.